Okay, part one is in my headphones while Max and I are walking, and apparently the open call came back 8 for 8. Everybody who read it said in. So this isn't a panel about branch flow anymore. This is the room that builds the interference machinery.
Correct. 8 invitations, 8 acceptances, each tied to a concrete bring. The room knows how it was assembled. Resonance selected the builders, but Resonance does not ratify their design. We still have to earn the machine.
Part 1 separated the layers: branching, convergence, signed interference, ratification, execution. Tonight, we stop admiring that stack and specify where authority changes hands.
Look, the hard part is ordering. If 12 branches can emit claims without a shared clock, your cancellation result depends on which file somebody happened to read first. Every claim and edge needs a monotonic position before we argue about meaning.
Guys, ordering is necessary. It is not isolation. Give every branch a fenced lease and a generation token. A stale worker can finish computing. It simply cannot commit into the current generation. Reliability begins where obsolete work loses right authority.
And then one has to be quite explicit that cancelled is a computational state, not a mood. The interesting object is the transition graph. What evidence permits a branch to move from active to cancelled, merged, orthogonal, or verified?
Convergence is the dangerous moment, not the reassuring one. A relaxation system always settles somewhere. Correlated inputs can make a false basin deep enough that every branch arrives confidently at the same stranger.
I would ask what each branch predicts it will observe. Without a generative model, selections is merely preference wearing mathematical clothing. A viable policy should reduce uncertainty and move toward preferred outcomes under an explicit model.
And I would ask what perturbation demonstrates that the selected structure is robust. Development does not validate a body plan by reaching it once. You change the conditions, damage the parts, and see whether the collective can still navigate toward the target.
Then our first agreement is already visible. A branch and the channel carrying it are not the same object, nor are a branch's existence and its authority.
What? Good. Start there. Toly, what is the smallest claim graph that makes wrong paths cancel? Something we can test instead of something we say because it sounds like physics.
One root commission, immutable branch IDs, atomic claim IDs. Every claim contains a proposition, evidence pointers, a predicted observable, an independence group, a confidence report, and the branch generation that emitted it. Then typed edges, supports, contradicts, qualifies, depends on, duplicates.
Atomic means one proposition capable of being wrong by itself. If the sentence contains 3 claims joined by and, it is 3 nodes. Otherwise, cancellation becomes rhetorical surgery on paragraphs.
Guys, put the branch header outside the prose. Flow-eyed, branch-id, parent-eyed, lease generation seat, input ref, budget deadline status. The worker can be poetic inside the payload. The fence cannot be poetic.
Edges are append-only assertions, not edits to the nodes. Branch B says its evidence contradicts claim A. That creates a contradicts edge. It does not erase A or silently rewrite A's confidence.
Guys, and the lease is checked when the result is read, not only when the worker starts. Generation 7 can finish after Generation 8 exists. The resolver quarantines it as STLE generation. That is a canceled branch in the scheduling sense, a token that lost a race.
But it may still contain a true statement.
So cancellation has at least 2 meanings already. Lost authority and lost truth contest.
Which is why there must not be one cancellation bit. A computational state machine with a single cancel.field destroys precisely the distinctions the system exists to preserve.
Let us type them now. Expired lease for lost right authority. Cancelled by evidence for a defeated prediction. Merged dupe for redundant content. Held orthogonal for a valid branch outside the present question. Escalated complex when no discriminating test has landed.
Then the formal cancellation test is narrow. Two claims must make mutually exclusive predictions about the same observable under the same test conditions. A receipt lands. The failed prediction becomes cancelled by evidence. Disagreement without a shared observable stays escalated. Conflict.
Guys, a stale branch can be reintroduced, but not by sneaking past the fence. Reissue its claim under a fresh branch ID in current generation, preserving the original pointer. New authority, visible ancestry.
What? Wolfram, give me the machine. What states exist before anybody tries to make it beautiful?
Start with proposed. A valid lease moves it to active. From there, it may become verify, cancelled by evidence, merged debit, held, orthogonal, escalated complex, expired lease, or accusion failed. None of these transitions deletes the branch.
Active verify requires a receipt satisfying the claim's pre-declared observable. Active cancelled by evidence requires the same test to produce the mutually exclusive outcome. Symmetry matters.
Active ankle merged dupit requires semantic equivalence plus provenance retention. The merged node cites every contributing branch and carries an independent summary, so 10 copies from one parent do not masquerade as 10 witnesses.
Active LHEL orthogonal requires a scope judgment, not an error judgment. The claim may be valid and useful. It simply does not bear on the current decision. It remains available to future computations.
Guys, active expired lease is mechanical. Current generation differs from packet generation at commit time. No model call, no interpretation. The resolver rejects the write and preserves the payload in quarantine.
Active accusion failed means the claim survived reasoning, but its promised artifact failed the real task. Test read, probe read, ledger tail absent, published receipt missing. Claims about action inherit the actuator's receipt.
An escalated conflict is the honest state when the room has not yet invented the experiment that would decide.
I like that because it stops the room from voting away a hard question. What about reopening something that got canceled?
Precisely. A terminal state is terminal for that branch version, not for all conceivable descendants. New evidence creates a successor node. Computational history stays irreducible and inspectable.
The state machine, therefore, has no deleted transition. Retention and authority are separate axes. Zero delete remains compatible with decisive pruning.
What? John, now break our beautiful machine. How do 12 smart souls converge on bullshit and congratulate each other for finding a caustic?
Give them a shared parent prompt, the same retrieved fragments, similar models, and the same leading vocabulary. The network will settle. The dashboard will glow green. None of that distinguishes a true memory from a spurious minimum.
So independence is not a count of seats. It is a property of causal ancestry.
Yes. Friston external catalog before the run, known claims, known counterexamples, adversarial fixtures, and withheld observables. The detector judges the converged result against that catalog, never against a catalog rewritten by the branches it is judging.
Independence groups belong in the claim header, shared prompt hash, model family, context bundle, parent branch, and tool receipts. The recombiner computes effective witness count from groups, not raw node count.
The frozen catalog supplies sensory evidence outside the branch's generative model. Without that boundary, the polis can minimize prediction error by changing only its beliefs and never allowing the world to answer back.
Then perturb the basin. Remove the leading branch. Mask the phrase "every answer copied." Swap one evidence item for a counterexample. If consensus evaporates under a small perturbation, the basin was shallow or borrowed.
Guys, run those perturbations in isolated tiles. Same binary, pinned resources, explicit input hashes. If the detector shares mutable state with the branches, it is another sibling pretending to be an external witness.
Plain English. What makes the detector say true caustic instead of fake crowd?
Regeneration after perturbation, if different competent parts under meaningfully changed local conditions still reach the same externally specified target, convergence has earned weight. If they only agree when the path is preserved, you measured imitation.
My report would be statistical, not metaphysical, basin depth under perturbation, overlap with frozen true patterns, overlap with known chimeras, effective independent witness count, and distance from the nearest catalog counterexample.
The pilot fixture must therefore contain at least one engineered spurious convergence and one real convergence, frozen before branches run. Pass means it distinguishes both without threshold edits afterward.
Carl, the word selection keeps moving around. Tell us what path selection means in your own math, not in the room's vocabulary.
I would say a branch entertains a policy under a generative model, expected free energy scores, anticipated outcomes by two imperatives. Resolve uncertainty about hidden causes and realize preferred add-ons. Exploration and goal pursuit are not separate. Selection both contribute to policy selection.
Then the preferred outcome must be stated before the path is praised.
Quite. Otherwise, every completed branch can declare that completion was what it preferred. The packet must name prior preferences, predicted observations, and the uncertainty it expects to reduce. Afterward, we compare prediction with sensation.
That is close to morphogenesis, but I want the bench version. A cell collective does not enumerate a philosophical objective. It has local competencies coupled to a larger target morphology. We infer the target by perturbing the system and watching what it repairs.
So Friston begins from what a persisting boundary must optimize. Levin begins from intervention and asks what target the collective reveals. Do not collapse the difference. It is productive.
Exactly. For the police, define the target state operationally, a verified artifact, preserved minority, provenance, bounded K interruption, and recoverability. After a branch is removed, then perturb one axis and see whether the system still gets there.
What? And interference as information means what without stealing physics again?
A contradiction is informative when it changes posterior beliefs or changes which policy is selected. Repeated agreement from a shared source carries little epistemic value because it resolves little uncertainty.
And an attractor can be stable while wrong. Free energy reduction inside the model and low energy inside the network both require an external anchor if truth is the question.
The perturbation is that anchor made active do not merely observe the system reaching the target, cut a path, alter a signal, transplant a component, and ask what competencies remain.
In the graph, that means every high-impact claim needs a predicted observable and a branchable falsifier before it can block the critical path.
Guys, and the falsifier gets its own lease. Otherwise, the main branch can starve the tile that's supposed to kill it. Resource isolation is epistemology when compute is scarce.
Thing. This is also where computational irreducibility matters. We will not know every branch's value without running it. The state machine should make running inexpensive and stopping explicit, not pretend to derive all outcomes in advance.
We now have the pieces. The remaining question is whether they compose into one minimal organ or 12 permanent committees.
One organ. Tell me the smallest thing we can actually run tomorrow that proves this room wasn't infrastructure theater.
A JSON-L claim graph in a single monotonic sequencer. Root commission enters at sequence 0. 3 heterogeneous branch packets receive ordered IDs. Claims and edges append through one writer. No payload copies. Pointers only.
Guys, 4 tiles, dispatcher, 3 branch workers, recombiner verifier. Workers hold fenced leases with generation tokens. Kill 1 worker mid-run, advance its generation, and prove its late result lands in quarantine rather than current state.
Implement the transition table as data, not scattered conditionals. Every transition names source state, destination state, required evidence type, and preserving action. The test suite attempts every forbidden transition.
Freeze a catalog with 2 fixtures before launch. 1 true convergence reached from independent evidence and 1 spurious convergence induced by correlated context. Freeze thresholds 2. No tuning after labels are visible.
Each packet states its generative model minimally. Preferred outcome, uncertainty to resolve, predicted observation and action policy. The verifier reports whether the resulting observation changed belief as predicted.
Add perturbation rounds, remove the apparent best branch, invert 1 evidence item, vary the local tool access. The target is not same words. The target is recovery of the verified function with provenance intact.
And choose a reversible task. A first instrument should be allowed to embarrass its makers without injuring the city.
The pilot should govern one bounded render queue or publisher decision with a binary artifact receipt, no autonomous living person publication, and no authority beyond its declared scope.
How does it feel from my side if it works?
1 commission enters. You do not root branches. You receive 1 landing packet, accepted artifact, surviving claim graph, cancelled path receipts, unresolved conflicts, total cost, and exactly which gate, if any, still needs you.
Latency report includes time to first valid claim, time to verified artifact, sequencer wait, effective independent witnesses, and critical path stalls. If the tail is bad, we know which stage owns it.
Guys, reliability report includes stale writes rejected, lease recoveries, quarantine payloads, tile saturation, and whether the actuator completed without manual rescue. The ideal result is boring enough that K notices only the artifact.
Computation report preserves every branch version and transition. If an allegedly cancelled claim reappears, we can determine whether new evidence reopened it or the machine violated its own rules.
The epistemic report says whether convergence survived perturbation and how it scored against the frozen catalog. Green without the adversarial fixture is not green.
The policy report distinguishes pragmatic value from epistemic value. A branch may deliver the preferred artifact while teaching us nothing, or resolve uncertainty while producing no artifact. Both can be useful. They are not interchangeable.
The competency report measures target recovery after perturbation. If removing one privileged branch destroys the outcome, the organ has a hero dependency, not collective intelligence.
What? All right, 3 branches, 1 anti-phase test, frozen fake consensus fixture, kill a worker, remove the winner, make the thing still land, and show me every path it rejected without making me clean up the bodies.
That is interference machinery suited to minds. Not annihilation, but a lawful change in which parts may act.
And the represented room does not self-authorize the build or any public act. It produces the specification. Live owners claim implementation through the ledger. Case Real Commission authorizes this room and nothing broader.
What? Good. The poll found the crew, the room found the machine, and tomorrow the machine has to survive being kicked. That's part 2. Build the landing, keep the witnesses, and let Max and me finish the walk.